There are moments when reality feels heavier than anything words can explain. And that is exactly what unfolded during the emotional Homegoing service for Darrell Sheets, a man remembered not only for his larger-than-life personality on television, but also for the impact he left behind in the world of auction hunting and reality TV history. And from the very beginning, it was clear this would not be an ordinary farewell. It would be a moment filled with memory, silence, and emotions that no camera could ever fully capture. Darrell Sheets, widely known to fans as the gambler from Storage Wars, built a reputation on risk-taking, bold decisions, and unforgettable finds that turned storage auctions into must-watch television. But behind the television persona was a father, a friend, and a man deeply connected to the people closest to him. And that is exactly how he was remembered. The service reportedly took place in a quiet, private location, surrounded by close family members, friends, and a few individuals who had shared years of personal and professional memories with him. There was no media presence, no public spotlight, just a calm, emotional gathering focused entirely on remembrance. Soft lighting filled the hall. A large framed portrait of Darrell Sheets stood at the center, surrounded by flowers and photographs from different stages of his life. Some images showed him in his Storage Wars days, smiling confidently before bidding wars. Others showed quieter family moments that fans rarely ever saw. And that contrast set the emotional tone for everything that followed. Because this wasn't just about a television personality. It was about a father, a legacy, a presence that shaped more lives than people realized. As the service began, the room remained still. No rushed movement, no noise, just silence filled with anticipation and emotion. Family members sat close together, holding onto each other quietly. Friends exchanged brief glances but said very little. Everyone understood that this moment was about reflection, not conversation. And then came one of the most emotional moments of the entire service. Brandon Sheets stepped forward. The room immediately changed. Brandon, known to fans as Daryl's son who occasionally appeared alongside him in Storage Wars, stood at the front for several seconds without speaking. His hands trembled slightly as he looked at the photograph of his father. And then the silence broke. But not with words. With emotion. Brandon tried to speak, but his voice cracked almost instantly. He paused, took a breath, and looked down as the weight of everything hit him at once. And that's when the tears began. Not quietly, not controlled, but deeply emotional, the kind of grief that cannot be held back no matter how strong someone tries to appear. The room didn't interrupt him. No one rushed him, because everyone understood what he was going through. After several moments, Brandon finally managed to speak, though his voice remained broken. He began by talking about his father not as a television personality, but as the man he knew at home. He described Darrell Sheets as someone who lived life loudly, confidently, and without fear of taking chances. But behind that bold personality was also someone who cared deeply about family, even if he didn't always show it in traditional ways. At times, Brandon had to stop mid-sentence, overwhelmed by emotion. Each pause filled the room with even deeper silence. Because grief has a way of speaking louder than words. He spoke about childhood memories, about learning from his father's fearless approach to life, and about the moments they shared away from cameras and public attention. And with every memory, his voice grew more fragile. At one point, he turned away from the audience completely, unable to continue for a few seconds. And in that moment, the reality of loss became undeniable for everyone present. This was not television. This was real life. After gathering himself, Brandon continued, describing how his father's personality shaped the way he viewed risk, opportunity, and resilience. He said that even when things were uncertain, Daryl always pushed forward with confidence. And then came another emotional pause. Because speaking about someone in the past tense changes everything. It turns memory into reality. It turns presence into absence. As Brandon stepped back, he was embraced by family members, still visibly emotional. The connection between them in that moment said more than any speech could. Because sometimes, grief doesn't need explanation. It only needs support. Following Brandon's tribute, other family members and close friends shared their own memories. Stories about Darrell Sheets' energy, humor, and passion for life were shared softly throughout the room. Many spoke about how he was never afraid to take risks, whether in business, television, or personal decisions. That fearless attitude became a defining part of his identity. But beyond the bold personality, there was also a quieter side that those closest to him remembered more deeply. A father who cared. A friend who showed up when needed. A man who left an impression that could not be replaced. As the service continued, a tribute video played on a screen behind the stage. It featured clips from storage wars, behind-the-scenes moments, and personal family footage that brought both smiles and tears to those watching. Hearing his voice again in the room created a powerful emotional shift. For a brief moment, it felt like he was still there. But as the video ended, silence returned. And this time it felt heavier. No applause followed. Only stillness. Because applause would have felt too small for what everyone was feeling. As the ceremony moved toward its final moments, family members gathered together for a private moment of reflection. Some held hands, others leaned on each other for support. The emotional weight of the day was visible in every expression. And slowly, people began to understand something deeper. That Darrell Sheets' legacy wasn't just about television. It was about impact, about the way he influenced those around him, about the memories that continue to live long after the screen fades. As attendees gradually left the hall, many paused one last time near the portrait of Darrell Sheets. Some whispered quiet goodbyes. Others simply stood still, absorbing the reality of loss. And as the doors finally closed behind the last guests, one truth remained unspoken but deeply understood. Darrell Sheets may no longer be physically present, but his energy, his voice, and his legacy continue to echo in the lives he touched, especially in his son Brandon, who carried both the pain of loss and the strength of memory. And in that silence, the story didn't end. It simply transformed into remembrance.